Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Art Collective Reviews. This is episode 3. This episode I chose to take a break from the Red Hot Chili Peppers journey that we're going to take, making it to their new album, The Getaway, to talk about Saosin. Their new album just came out a couple of weeks ago called Along the Shadow, and it marks the subsequent return of original vocalist Anthony Green. Uh, The album is very much what fans expected, I guess, at this point. Um, in a sense that it met all the requirements that the EP translating the name uh, basically started in 2003. The sound of the band changed maybe a little bit when second vocalist Cove Reber joined. But not a lot because most of the members of the band were still the same, especially the two lead guitarists, which are a big highlight in Saosin. Um, on this new album, they're definitely a little more prominent, although I believe the original lead guitarist didn't record this album, Justin Shakowski. I believe he left during this, so the guitar parts are layered by the other guitar player. Um, this album, though, it's a real great album. It's got a lot of upbeat moments to it, a lot of aggressive moments to it, and a lot of real energetic parts, as well as a lot of slower melodic, typical Saosin moments, I would have to say. But there's also a lot of focus on the drumming again, which is something that I felt Saosin kind of lacked in the albums following the Black EP and the Gray EP. Once they recorded, their core units, the drumming was a little more lackluster, and it seems like the drummer brought it up to speed here. The track by track thing for this is we're going to go ahead and start with the Silver String. If you haven't heard that song, it's a great song. I believe it was the lead single, first thing they released off the album. First time I heard it, I was like, oh, Saosin's back. It was a real exciting moment. I had seen Saosin back when they first started with Anthony Green, right before he left to form Circa Survive. And, I love Circa Survive. I followed their stuff the whole time. So when we heard he was coming back, we were great. And I believe some of the lyrics in the Silver String are kind of influenced by the whole breakup or departure of him in the beginning, because there was, I guess a lot of drama in the band between Anthony Green and the other members for a little while after he left. But he's back now. Silver String was the first footnote in that before we even heard the rest of the album. And then, you hear the album and it's just killer. Track 2, Ideology is Theft. It's a great follow-up track to the Silver String, especially being track 2. Sometimes I feel pacing of albums can be off where they place songs, not they, but just the record industry in general. And it can kind of slow down the pace of the album, but this album I feel uses its pacing and its track selections really, really well. Ideology is Theft, again, is just one of those kind of harder hitting Saosin songs. Not super aggressive by any means, but definitely more post-hardcore, by the book kind of stuff, but in their own right. By the book is probably a wrong term. I don't mean that they're following some formula, but it definitely breathes what the genre is all about for them. Again, Racing Toward a Red Light is the third track and also was a single from this album before the album dropped. And again, a real exciting track, real aggressive. Anthony Green screaming again, which I don't think a lot of people love per se, but I think his screaming voice is definitely one of the stronger points for his time in Saosin. I wouldn't want to see it in Circa Survive or things like that, because the music itself is just not the same, obviously. Track 4, Second Guesses. Second Guesses is a really good song. There are parts of it that I don't like as much as other parts. They kind of, I don't know, it's kind of off to me, I guess I could say. But overall, the song is still really great. I mean, the chorus is strong. Anytime Anthony Green is involved in the chorus structure or the melodies, he's really on point on this album. So, I mean, even the weakest track, due to the guitar playing skill and the layered, tracks there and the drumming, and then Anthony Green just always being on it. Even the lackluster moments on this album, which are very few and far between, are enjoyable, I would still say, passable to listen, Count Back from 10 is also another one of those songs that really screams back to the old days of Saosin, and translating the name. And I think probably one of the best songs on the album. count back from 10, honestly, track 6, as well as track 5, excuse me. Track 6 is The Stutter Says a Lot. That song is probably the most diverse on the album, in my opinion, just because it doesn't do all the things that I expected it to do for a post-hardcore song. Some of the riffs in the song almost remind me of maybe Deftones, or back when alternative rock was a little bit more strong in the 90s. It kind of sounds like that kind of thing, because I don't think you can peg every song on this album down to post-hardcore, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of fusion here. There's a lot of other things that I think kind of make up the sound of Saosin, other than them just being shoehorned into that genre. Track 7, Sore Distress, probably one of the more mellow songs in the album, or at least one of the slower paced songs, but still has its moments of energy and, just in your face Saosin sound. And the only reason I say that Saosin sound is because in the slew of post-hardcore bands that came out at that time, and ever since, Census Fail, the bands like that, which put out some good records and put out some good songs, Saosin always had their own sound because of their layered guitars. And, a lot of people may not notice it, but it's not just rhythm guitar and then a solo guy. A lot of the times these guys will synchronize their guitars and play them melodically. And, of course other bands do that, but in post-hardcore, it made Saosin stand out to me on top of Anthony Green's vocals, who, again, sounds like he belongs in that genre for sure, but if there is a number one spot for that kind of vocals, it's got to go to him, in my opinion. The Secret Meaning of Freedom, track 8, probably my least favorite song on the album, and it's still, bar none, a great song for sure. It's just, if I had to choose one, I think that one's kind of the sour note to me, and that doesn't mean that it's bad by any means. It just means the rest of this record is so great that it's really hard to pick a lemon. But if I had to, it would be that song. I've skipped it a couple times on the tracks when I listen to it again. So Old Friends is alternatively probably one of my favorite tracks on the album, track 9. The lyrics in this song stand out to me a lot. I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm really curious what people will think of this album, because it doesn't really sound like they've skipped a beat, and Old Friends sounds like it also could have been on Translating the Name. There's just a couple tracks like that. Even track 10, Illusion and Control. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Third Measurement in C, if you're familiar with that song on Translating the Name. And it's just, a real killer track, as is Illusion and Control. And then the album closes with Control and the Urge to Pray. And I believe that was also a single, or maybe it was Illusion and Control. Either way, it's a real good closer track. It seals off the album, but I feel like the album could have just ended at track 10. I mean, that's not to say that the song's bad or anything, but Illusion and Control really seemed like, okay, the album's over, good run and stuff. 11 kind of just shoehorns itself in there, but it's not a bad track by any means. Now, if you happen to have the deluxe edition, you'll have 2 of the heaviest tracks on the album. Why they didn't make the final cut is beyond me. Drinking from the Fountain is the first one of those tracks. It's definitely the heaviest song for sure. A lot of screaming, a lot of that dissident guitar riffage towards the end of the song. Really kicking it back, I would say, to the 2003, 2004 post-hardcore days. At least that's the sound that it comes off as to me. Obviously, it's a much better sound because it's 2016 recording. The technology has progressed, but just, a real solid track. One probably should have made the final cut, more so than Control and the Urge to Pray, or even, The Secret Meaning of Freedom, in my opinion. But either way, track 13 on the deluxe edition is Along the Shadow of Man, which is basically the title track to the album. Not so sure why they would cut that, but maybe just didn't think it was up to the standards for the rest of the album. I disagree. I mean, I think it's great. If you already bought the album and you didn't get the deluxe edition, find a way on YouTube maybe to get those songs, or just buy the deluxe edition. Again, nothing wrong with supporting Saosin, And then I thought we would just quickly talk about Translating the Name. I mean, I'm not going to get too into it. Normally it would get its own video, but I just thought I'd shoehorn it into this one because Anthony Green, is back in the band and just came out. And really, these are the only 2 releases with him on it. So, Translating the Name, again, an amazing EP for the time. I remember seeing them, like I said, live with Avenged Sevenfold and a band called Death by Stereo in my hometown. And they were amazing, And right after that show, I had to go try to find a record. And when I did, I found it at Barnes & Noble in my hometown, which was pretty hard to get a copy of. I guess I had to have it pre-ordered, and now it goes for quite a bit on Amazon. A friend of mine tried to buy it recently, and she wasn't willing to pay the $40-50 price tag for an EP. However, it is a really killer album if you haven't heard it. A lot of great tracks. It's only 5 tracks, but those 5 tracks are solid. There is not a weak song on it. If you haven't heard it, go ahead and check it out. I think you'll be impressed if you liked Along the Shadow. If you haven't heard either of these albums and you're into post-hardcore, please give them a shot. You really won't be disappointed. I mean, and if you have, I'm curious, to see what you guys think of the new album as opposed to their other albums with Cove, or if you're happy that Anthony's back and what they might do in the future. Any of those comments you'd care to share with me, just leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, you can email me at artcollectivereviews@gmail.com, and I will try to get back to you and review anything that you guys want me to review, as long as I can get a hold of it, of course, with ease. If not with ease, just give me some time and I will get a hold of it. Anything else you guys care to discuss? Just leave it in the comment section below. Like I said, I appreciate you watching my videos. Episode 4 will be on Aesop Rock's new album, The Impossible Kid. Probably get that out today or tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.